What if the person you love the most starts to feel like a stranger? Claire never thought she'd ask herself that question. For 10 years, she had built her life around Ethan, the man who once made her laugh so hard she cried, who promised her that love didn't fade, it deepened. But lately, that promise felt like a ghost. Every morning, he left earlier. Every night, he came home later. The warmth in his eyes had been replaced by something distant, unreadable. Tonight was Ethan's birthday, and Claire was determined to bring them back to how they used to be. She spent the entire day preparing. The living room glowed with candles, soft jazz filled the silence, and the smell of his favorite pasta sauce lingered in the air. She'd even found the old watch he once said he loved, had it polished, wrapped, and ready. She wanted this night to remind him of them. But as the clock struck 8, her smile began to fade. The pasta was cold. The ice in the glasses had melted. The candles were burning down. Claire checked her phone, no message. She typed one, erased it, and tried to stay calm. He'd been working late for months. Maybe this was just another late meeting. But something inside her whispered that familiar ache, the kind you feel when you already know the truth but can't say it out loud. By 9, the silence was unbearable. She sat at the edge of the couch, staring at the front door. Every passing car outside made her heart jump. Then finally, headlights flashed across the window. Her breath caught. She stood quickly, adjusted her dress, and forced herself to smile. The door opened. Ethan stepped in, jacket slung over one shoulder, his face tired but strangely emotionless. "Surprise," she said softly, holding out the cake knife like it was a symbol of hope. He blinked, startled for a second, then smiled faintly. "Claire, you did all this?" "Of course," she replied. "It's your birthday." He looked around, nodding, his eyes distant. "You didn't have to go through so much trouble." Her smile faltered for just a second. "It's not trouble when it's for you." He hugged her, quick, mechanical, and set his bag on the chair. The faintest trace of perfume drifted from his jacket. Not hers. Something floral, expensive. It hit her like static, sharp and undeniable. Claire blinked fast, trying to push the thought away. Maybe it was from someone at work. Maybe he brushed against someone in the elevator. She forced herself to believe it, because believing anything else would destroy her. They sat at the table. She served him, watched him eat, but his mind was somewhere else. His phone buzzed once. He turned it over quickly, face down on the table. "How's work?" she asked, pretending everything was fine. "Busy," he said shortly. "We've got a new client." "Long hours," she nodded, smiling like she understood. But in her chest, a quiet storm began to form. When they finally cut the cake, she whispered, "Make a wish." He closed his eyes. She watched him, the man she'd loved for a decade, and wondered what wish he'd made. Did it include her, or was he wishing for a way out? After dinner, Ethan said he was exhausted and went to shower. Claire stayed behind, cleaning up the plates in silence. The house felt colder somehow, emptier, as if the walls could feel what she felt. When she was done, she sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone to distract herself. Then she saw his phone on the table, unlocked. For a moment, she froze. Her heart thudded painfully. She didn't want to be that wife, the one who snoops. But something deep inside whispered, "You already know. You just need to see it." She hesitated. Her hand trembled. Then, as if moved by instinct, she picked it up, just to check the time, she told herself. But right then, a notification lit up the screen. A message, from a name she didn't recognize. It read, "I miss you already." Her breath hitched. For a moment she couldn't move. The room seemed to blur around her. Her hand shook so hard she nearly dropped the phone. She tried to convince herself it was innocent. Maybe a friend, maybe a misunderstanding. Then, another message appeared. Did she suspect anything tonight? The words burned into her mind. Claire's stomach dropped. Her vision tunneled. Every sound in the world seemed to vanish. No music, no ticking clock. Just the deafening silence of betrayal. Her throat went dry. Her heart beat so fast it hurt. She stared at the message, unable to breathe. The truth she'd been denying for months now stood right in front of her, glowing on that screen. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Ethan, coming back. She quickly placed the phone back exactly where it had been and straightened up. Her heart raced so violently she thought he might hear it. Ethan walked in, towel over his shoulders, hair damp. "Hey," he said casually. "You okay?" Claire forced a small smile. "Yeah, just tired," he nodded. "Me too." He leaned in, kissed her forehead gently, the same gesture that used to mean safety, love, warmth. But tonight it felt like a lie. As he turned off the lights and walked toward the bedroom, Claire stood still for a moment, staring at the empty table, the burnt-out candles, the untouched cake. In that silence, something inside her broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in quiet pieces. She followed him to bed, her face calm, her voice steady. But inside, a storm had begun. A storm of betrayal, heartbreak, and a strange, growing strength she didn't yet recognize. As Ethan drifted off beside her, she lay awake, eyes open, heart cold. The messages replayed in her mind again and again. "I miss you already." Did she suspect anything tonight? Claire's jaw tightened. She didn't cry. She didn't move, but she knew one thing. This wasn't the end of their story. Not yet, because when the truth walks into your home uninvited, you decide whether to break or to burn quietly, and tonight, Claire decided she wouldn't break. The phone buzzed again on the nightstand. Ethan stirred, half asleep, and turned it over. Another message. Claire watched through the dim light as he typed something quickly, and smiled. Her heart went numb. She turned away, her face hidden in the dark. Tomorrow, she thought, he'll get the birthday gift he never expected. Would you still love someone after they broke your heart in silence? Claire didn't cry that night. Not one tear. She lay beside Ethan, staring at the ceiling while he slept peacefully, unaware that she already knew. The next morning, she made breakfast like nothing had changed. Toast, coffee. The same routine, except now, every move felt mechanical, every word rehearsed. For days, she kept her secret close. She studied him like a stranger she used to know. When he said he was working late, she smiled and nodded. When his phone buzzed, she pretended not to notice. But every vibration felt like a knife twisting in her chest. She wasn't the same woman anymore. She was watching the end of her marriage unfold in slow motion. One evening, Ethan was on a call in his office, the door half closed. Claire walked past quietly, but his voice made her stop. "I can't do this much longer," he said softly. Her heart jumped. Maybe he meant the affair. Maybe he wanted to fix things. But then came the words that shattered her hope. "I'll tell her after my birthday." "You mean too much to me," Claire froze. The pain was sharp, but what came after was colder. Clarity. He wasn't trapped. He wasn't confused. He had chosen someone else. She stepped away from the door, silent, her hands trembling. That night, while Ethan slept again, she sat in the dark, staring at their wedding photo on the wall. Her reflection overlapped with his. Two people who once promised forever, now living in lies. But instead of anger, a strange calm settled over her. She wouldn't scream. She wouldn't beg. She had loved him deeply, and that love deserved dignity, not destruction. The next morning, she greeted him with a gentle smile. "You've been working so hard," she said. "Why don't we do something special for your birthday?" He looked surprised, maybe even relieved. "Yeah, sure." "That sounds nice," she nodded. "Good. I've already planned it." He kissed her forehead, the same way he always did, and left for work. But this time, Claire didn't feel warmth. She felt freedom building quietly inside her, the kind that comes before goodbye. Over the next few days, she planned everything. Not out of love, but closure. The dinner reservation, the gift, even her words. Every detail was perfect, just like the life they once shared. She rehearsed her final line in her mind again and again. "Happy birthday, Ethan. Here's the freedom you were afraid to ask for." that night. As she watched him laugh on the phone again, something inside her settled. She knew exactly what she needed to do, because sometimes the best revenge isn't anger. It's grace. And on his birthday night, Ethan would finally get the gift he never expected: the truth. Sometimes, silence becomes the loudest kind of revenge. The night of Ethan's birthday arrived, calm, quiet, perfect. Claire had planned everything with precision. The lights were soft, the music slow, the air heavy with meaning. She looked stunning in a simple black dress, not to impress him, but to remind herself that she still mattered. Tonight wasn't about saving their marriage. It was about ending it with grace. When Ethan walked into the restaurant, his face lit up with surprise. "Wow, Claire, this is beautiful." She smiled gently. "I wanted to make tonight special." They sat down, candles flickering between them. Ethan tried small talk, work, weather, meaningless words to fill the silence. Claire just listened, calm, unreadable. She wasn't angry anymore. She had moved past that. After dinner, she handed him a small wrapped box. "Your gift," she said softly. He unwrapped it and stared at what was inside. A keychain, silver and elegant, engraved with their initials and the date they met. His eyes softened. "You remembered." "I never forget important days," she replied. Ethan took her hand, guilt flickering across his face. "Claire, I don't deserve this. I haven't been good to you lately." She tilted her head. "You're right." His smile faded. "What do you mean?" Claire leaned forward slightly. "I know about her." Ethan froze. His face went pale. "Claire, She raised her hand gently. "Don't. I'm not here to argue or shout. I'm just here to give you something you actually need." She reached into her bag and placed a small envelope on the table. "Your real gift." He hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a letter written in her familiar handwriting. He began to read, his lips trembling as the words sank in. "Happy birthday, Ethan. I'm giving you what you couldn't ask for, your freedom. You don't owe me explanations or promises. I just hope she gives you the peace I couldn't. Goodbye, Claire." For a long moment, Ethan didn't move. The music played softly around them, but the world felt still. He looked up, eyes wide and broken. "Claire, please. Don't do this. I can fix it. I'll end it, I swear." Claire smiled sadly. "You already ended it, Ethan. You just didn't notice." She stood up, placed her napkin on the table, and looked at him one last time. "Take care of yourself." He reached for her hand, but she stepped back. "Goodbye, Ethan." And with that, she turned and walked out, her steps steady, her heart strangely light. Behind her, Ethan sat frozen, holding the letter like a mirror to his own mistakes. The candle between them flickered once, then went out, leaving him in quiet darkness. Outside, Claire inhaled the cool night air. Her hands trembled, but her soul finally felt still. She didn't know where life would take her next. But she knew one thing: Ethan's birthday would never be the same again. Sometimes, losing someone becomes the only way to find yourself again. Weeks had passed since that night. The city moved on, and so did Claire, slowly, quietly, like the tide pulling away from a storm. She had moved into a small apartment downtown, filled with sunlight and silence. At first, the quiet felt unbearable. No familiar footsteps, no shared coffee cups, no good morning text. But with each sunrise, the silence began to sound less like emptiness and more like peace. Every morning, she made her own breakfast, played soft music, and went for long walks. People would smile at her on the street, and for the first time in years, she noticed, she wasn't just someone's wife anymore. She was Claire, a woman learning to live for herself again. Still, some nights were harder. There were moments when she'd reach for her phone, half expecting a message from Ethan, then stop herself. The memories came and went like waves. The laughter, the long drives, the promises whispered in the dark. They didn't hurt as much now, but they still left marks. One afternoon, as she sorted through old mail, a plain white envelope slipped from the pile. No return address. But she recognized the handwriting instantly. Ethan. Her fingers hesitated before opening it. Inside was a short note written in his shaky handwriting. You were always the best part of me. I'm sorry I realized it too late. Claire stared at the words for a long time. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply folded the letter and placed it in a small wooden box. The same box where she kept memories of her past life. On top of it, she wrote one line in her diary. Some goodbyes don't need closure. They need peace. That evening, she drove to the lake, the one they used to visit during summers. The water shimmered under the golden light, calm and endless. She sat by the edge, watching the ripples dance. For the first time, the memories didn't feel like chains. They felt like chapters that had finally ended. A gentle breeze brushed her face, carrying the scent of rain and freedom. Claire whispered softly, maybe love isn't about staying forever. Maybe it's about learning when to let go. As she stood up to leave, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, just 4 words. I saw you today. Her heart skipped. She turned toward the road, scanning the distance. No one. Just the fading sun and the quiet hum of life continuing. She looked at the phone again, the screen glowing in her hand. Her expression stayed calm, but inside, something stirred. Curiosity, fear, or perhaps destiny knocking once more. Claire took a deep breath, smiled faintly, and whispered, maybe every ending has another beginning. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves behind her as the sun dipped below the waterline. And just like that, her story wasn't over yet.